G'day, I'm Wing Commander Scott Woodland, or Woody. I'm the Commanding Officer of Number 2 Operational Conversion Unit. We're down here in Mildura for the final time with our Classic Hornets before we transition to F-35 in 2020. So Mildura was the birthplace of 2OCU. We came down here in 2017 for our 75th anniversary and established a really good bond with the community here, and with the 2 FOTU museum that's here, decided to establish a lasting connection. So this is the second time we brought jets back, and as I said, it's our last opportunity before we close down the Classic Hornet at the end of this year. So we've had a march through the city yesterday, we had an RSL dinner, and today we had an open day at the airport with a phenomenal response from the Mildura and Sunraysia district people. And it's great to be able to give back a little bit and maintain the heritage that we've had with Mildura since we started here in 1942. All the way through until us closing our Classic Hornet ops here in 2019. So hopefully we can sustain that beyond Classic Hornet. But the benefit with this jet is we can put it on the ground here and get the townsfolk in to have a good look at it and look around. That's been an incredible response to do. Today we've had thousands of people through here, and it's great to be able to meet the locals and also do a bit of a recruiting drive as well, show them what is available in Air Force and talking about all the different career options and things available. And we've had a really positive response today, so great to be here and be able to do that on behalf of Air Force. So what I'm going to do now is just take you through a quick abbreviated walk around of the Hornet. There's a lot of detail that we cover on the jet. It will take quite some time to talk through it all, but I'll show you the main features of the aircraft as you go around, what the pilots are looking for. Obviously the aircraft are being prepared by the ground crew, and in theory the jet is ready to go. But as a pilot, we are actually responsible for that aircraft. We've signed for it, and to confirm that and for our own safety, we just do a final check of any major panels, leaks, etc. with the aircraft to make sure that we're comfortable to jump in the cockpit and take it flying. So we'll go for a walk and I'll show you some of the things we'll look for there. Right, so normally when we come to the jet, the first thing we'll do is actually go up into the cockpit and check for cockpit security, seat safety, etc., and stow navigation bag equipment and knee pads into the cockpit. And then from there, once we've completed that pre-flight of the ejection seat, we'll climb down the ladder, and then we'll do a physical walk around of the airplane and check for specific things here. So generically, we'll start underneath the cockpit at around the doors on the side panel. So the side panels of the aircraft will check to make sure they've all been secured properly, that there's no flags or pins left on the aircraft. In this case, the aircraft is parked, so there are flags and pins still fitted. But obviously, when we go flying, those have been removed, and we're checking that they are not still in place. So we'd also go into the nose gear well. Again, so generally we're looking for condition here, so any leaks, we're checking a couple of pressure gauges to make sure they're all within normal limits. And obviously again, pins in the landing gear have been removed, and they're there to stop the landing gear retracting on the ground, so obviously we want them removed for flight. Panels checks, we're checking the AOA and the pitot probes to make sure there's no blockages or restrictions on their movement there. And then moving down and just checking the general condition of the aircraft to make sure there's been no undetected damage to that aircraft, or even things like birds or insects getting inside pitot probes or leaving deposits on pitot probes that may affect indications. Again, around the radome for condition. In this case, we've got a refuel probe out. We'll check the condition of the probe, again to make sure it's in good condition. And a similar check down this side, checking the probes and the AOA vanes. Refuel door is shut, and then condition of landing gear doors and side panels down the side of the jet. This side of the nose landing gear, antenna arrangement. As we come back to the last panel here, I'll then generally go down and check the centerline fuel tank. So just checking that it has been secured. One of the valves here is in the correct position, and the general security of the tank on the airframe. We're checking for ECS inlet on inside the splitter plate of the aircraft. Then obviously down the air intake, we're checking to make sure nothing has left anything behind, and it's a clear free run through to the compressor face of the engine. As we move further down, if we're carrying chaff and flares, we'll check the expendables underneath the intake. And now we're going to the landing gear condition, again ensuring pins are moved, that all the strut pressures are correct, and again there's no restrictions or anything abnormal about the landing gear. The tyres, brake wear indicators, etc. also checked at this time. We'll come further back to fuel air heat exchanger, and then generally the pilot will get down underneath and have a look up into the landing gear bay. And again we're checking for pins being removed, general condition and leaks. And in particular, this is a recharge handle for our APU accumulator. Make sure that's stowed correctly. There are pressure gauges in here as well. We can check to confirm correct pressures of some of the systems as well. And obviously condition of the landing gear doors, etc. Now we're up to the side fuselage. And then we're coming out underneath the wings. If we have stores and pylons fitted, we'll be checking for the condition of those pylons, the condition of the stores, and there's individual pre-flights depending on the weapons and stores that we're carrying in the jet. Otherwise, it's condition of the flaps, out through the wing fold, navigation light underside of the wings and the leading edge flaps. Around to the ASRAAM rails. Again, missiles fitted or not, we're just checking condition of the rails. Particular pins are fitted. As we come to the back, making sure the clamshell door here is secured and closed. That houses the nitrogen bottles for cooling of the missiles. Again, conditions of the control surfaces along the rear. Actuators up inside there. And they'll generally start with the bottom of the fuselage, checking our hydraulic pressures in the jet, and then going up the fuselage up to the top of the fin and back down again to check again condition and for looking for any potential hydraulic leaks that may be there. Underneath the jet, again, there's a number of engine panels, so I'll be checking to make sure they've been secured, and again, there's no specific leaks coming from those, which would be obvious if there was pools of fluid on the floor. Then we're moving around to the stabs. Again, we're checking just general condition of the horizontal stabs. As we come to the back, the rear of the fins, so the fuel vent masks, the antennas and the rudder assembly back here as well. And then for each of the engines, the variable exhaust nozzles or vents, we're checking for condition of that, and then we're checking down the actual engine nozzles to check condition of the mainly the afterburner flame holders and confirming they're all intact as required. The tail hook has its own pin, as you can see, is fitted in this case, so we're checking that pin has been removed and the pressure on the tail hook is pre-charged is correct. And then what we're doing now is virtually a replica of what I've taken you through on this side of the aircraft, just going through in almost reverse order from what we've done up to this point. And then the final step is once we reach the canopy ladder, we're fitting and making final adjustments to our life support equipment. And once we've done that, we confirm the last two safety switches on the side of the aircraft have been put in, and then we'll climb the ladder into the cockpit. And generally then our ground crew responsible for the aircraft that day will help us to strap into the aircraft as required. We'll secure everything and then give them a thumbs up and they'll remove the ladder. And from there on in, we're into the start process for the F-18.
It's Corporal Darren Zoma. I'm an aircraft structural technician, so I deal with all the metal work that's on the airframe.
And how long have you been with OCU, and the significance of you guys coming to Mildura this weekend?
I've been here for 2.5 years now, and the significance of this weekend is because this is where we actually originated from. And it's always good to come back to our history. I think the RAF is quite a traditional place, and it's always nice to come back and see where the actual units stem from and the history of the place. And it's also to give back to the community. I think the community really enjoys us coming down, and it's good to interact with them and let them know exactly what the Air Force does.
And what do you think about the paint scheme of the Hornet?
It's appropriate for 2SU because our emblem is a tiger, so it looks fantastic, doesn't it? It's really nice. It's I think one of the best looking jets that the RAF has.
And so for anyone that's wanting to join the Air Force, what advice would you give them?
It's a very good career. For me, I've been here for 25 years. I've actually been in two trades. I was an aircraft technician originally, remastered to aircraft structural technician, and that alone, it gives you such a diverse field that you can do. You can change and do different things in the RAF, and they're eager to train you.